I truly believe that some of the most interesting guitar effects are things that were never meant to be guitar effects. If you grew up as an AV club kid in the 80s or 90s, chances are you encountered one of these things or something similar to it. It's essentially a one-channel mixer which uses a very short delay to fake a reverb. And speaking of short, this is going to be a shorter video. I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things, but let's start with the basics of what we got here. On the back, there's inputs for 1/4 inch and RCA jacks. Like I said, just one channel. There's also a little slider here for on, off, and battery check. We're going to be using a 9-volt jack, but it's still nice to see the light come on. On the front, there's a gain adjustment slider for the microphone or whatever else we have plugged in here. Then there's delay, repeat, and depth. That's delay time, feedback, and the overall amount of that effect. So let's start with these last three first. It is certainly not the lush, spacious reverb we've grown accustomed to, and no surprise there, it's using an MN3207, which gives us a whopping 51.2 milliseconds of delay. So even though the datasheet suggests using one of those for adding reverb to karaoke and echo microphones, we don't often see those outside of chorus and flanger pedals. There's a reason most reverbs are digital. With apologies to the Arion SRV1. Now, obviously, this isn't meant as pro audio gear. It's not a pedal, but it's a fun way to spice up the league bowling announcements, or just to give us a super fun announcer dude kind of voice.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick up you later.
Our microphone level slider is just a control for how hard we want to drive an amplifier in this 4558 op amp. There's no clipping diodes. Distortion was never the point, but it definitely starts to creep in once we get past around 3 o'clock. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be a fuzz, but there's definitely something in here, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. While I was taking my time planning this video, Winnipeg Electrical Company and Heuristic Industries went and announced this. It's a fresh take on the realistic electronic reverb with a bunch of stuff added that makes it a whole lot easier to control and sculpt, like an actual foot switch, a mix knob, and they also really went into the time modulation aspect of that pedal, giving it almost 8 times the delay and an LFO so you can add some modulation. The instruction manual for this gives us a few suggestions for how to set up the sliders. It goes through reverb, echo, doubling, and slapback, and trust me, I went through all of them. They basically sound the same, just delay plus or minus feedback. But what is this? A wild flanger appears? I'm not sure why it says to modulate the depth slider up and down, but yeah, with the delay low enough, it kind of sounds flanger-ish. Of course, the faders on this are so old and gunked up that it's really hard to get a smooth slide and turnaround. Again, why the LFO on the Winnipeg pedal is such a good idea. Now, if I may reminisce for just a bit, the first time I encountered one of these, it was hooked up into a home stereo at a friend's house. His dad had all the good stuff. He had a Denon amplifier and a Pioneer CD magazine player. Remember those? This family also loved their show tunes, and they had their stereo wired up so they could sing along with the help of one of these things. And I can assure you, we weren't cool enough to experiment with drugs. But we did form a hypothesis that if we plugged an electric guitar into the spot usually occupied by the Radio Shack sing-along microphone, we could rock the house Marty McFly style. And actually, now that I think about it, between the distortion and the time modulation, this was kind of like an early version of the Boss digital metalizer. Now, eventually a lock appeared on the stereo cabinet, but at that point, the die was cast. This is a surprisingly capable and, most importantly, fun piece of gear, and they pop up on Reverb all the time. I'm not even going to bother with an affiliate link this time. This is just for sheer curiosity on my part. But I've got some awesome stuff planned for the next few videos. Thanks to everyone who's keeping me busy. I'll catch you on the next one.